Welcome back, focused learners. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We are jumping right into our Week 2 module on information assurance principles. Today, we're going to decode the exact mechanics of how our data is actually protected in a world that, let's face it, relies entirely on digital trust. We'll be exploring the 6 core principles that keep modern organizations, from your local healthcare provider to global aviation, running securely. It's going to be a fast-paced look at the invisible shields guarding our digital lives, so let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. What do altered student grades, a grounded airline flight, and a denied financial transaction all have in common? I mean, on the surface, they look like completely different disasters, right? But fundamentally, they all represent a critical failure in the exact same system. They happen when the core principles designed to protect our data just break down. Understanding how to prevent these specific scenarios is what this entire explainer is all about.
And that brings us to a formal concept you need to know: information assurance, or IA. Basically, it's the practice of protecting information to ensure it's secure, reliable, accurate, and completely usable throughout its entire life cycle. Think of IA as the essential invisible shield for our daily operations, both digital and physical. Because honestly, our information is only valuable if it can be trusted and accessed by the right people exactly when they need it. When information assurance fails, well, that shield drops, and those disasters we just talked about become a very harsh reality.
So, to understand how this shield actually works, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll cover the classic CIA triad. Second, we're going to look at the extended trust principles. And third, we'll see exactly how all of this applies to securing critical infrastructure.
Section 1, the classic CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability.
These first 3 pillars form the absolute foundational bedrock of information security. You really have to remember that these principles act as an interconnected ecosystem. A weakness in just one single link can completely undermine the entire system. Let's start with the C in the triad, confidentiality. This is all about protecting information from unauthorized access, disclosure, copying, or distribution, while still making sure authorized users can actually get to it. We're talking about keeping highly sensitive data, stuff like medical records, military intelligence, and trade secrets, strictly private. Because a breach in confidentiality doesn't just mean a secret got out. No, it can lead to devastating identity theft, massive financial loss, or even profoundly compromised national security.
It is essentially a constant battle between threats and controls. Attackers are always using methods like phishing emails, spyware, or simply stealing lost laptops to gain unauthorized access. But organizations fight back. They use technical and physical controls like multi-factor authentication, data encryption, and biometrics. For instance, think about a university registrar's database that is just packed full of student records. By using highly secure credentials to verify exactly who is logging in, and by encrypting that data both when it's in storage and when it's moving across the network, they successfully block those threats.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that just keeping a secret isn't enough. We have to move to the I in our triad, integrity. Integrity means protecting information from unauthorized modification while ensuring its absolute accuracy and completeness. Think about it. Data is completely useless to an organization if we can't actually trust its accuracy when we're making decisions. Whether we're looking at a medical diagnosis, an aviation maintenance log, or a massive corporate financial report, if that data has been altered without authorization, the real-world consequences can be absolutely catastrophic.
And here's the battleground for integrity. Threats include things like malware that actively alters data, simple human error during data entry, or random database corruption. To prevent all of this, we rely on technical controls like hash functions, checksums, and digital signatures. A really great real-world example of this is when an instructor safely submits final grades electronically at the end of a long semester. By using digital signatures and extremely strict file permissions, the university ensures that absolutely no unauthorized individual can modify those grades after they've been submitted. The integrity of that academic record is perfectly preserved.
Which brings us to the final piece of the classic triad: availability. This principle is all about ensuring reliable and timely access to information and computing resources. Because here's the crucial point: the most secure, perfectly accurate system in the entire world is completely ineffective if legitimate, authorized users cannot access it exactly when they need it, right? It literally doesn't matter how thick the bank's vault door is if the authorized teller can't find the key.
Think of hospitals, emergency response systems, or banks. Even a super short period of downtime can result in severe operational disruption.
Now, threats to availability can range from malicious DDoS attacks and ransomware all the way to simple hardware failures or everyday power outages. To counter these, organizations implement redundant systems, comprehensive disaster recovery plans, and load balancing. A perfect example of this is the airline industry. An airline operates redundant reservation servers across multiple different geographic locations. So if a localized power outage or a targeted ransomware attack takes down one data center, another backup server automatically takes over. This ensures completely uninterrupted booking services for travelers.
Section 2. The Extended Trust Principles. Authenticity, accountability, and non-repudiation.
All right, well, the CIA triad is the core. Our first extended principle modernizes this whole framework. It provides the absolute traceability and legal assurance that is strictly required in today's complex digital ecosystems. Authenticity is the process of verifying that an entity, user, device, or even a piece of information is genuinely who or what it claims to be. Think of authenticity as the ultimate gatekeeper. Before access is ever granted, this principle steps in to prevent impersonation and fraud by definitively confirming identity.
So how do we actually prove authenticity? We do it through 5 key authentication factors. It can be something you know, like a password or a PIN, something you have, like a smart card or security token, something you are, like a fingerprint or facial recognition, something you do, like your unique typing rhythm, or somewhere you are, like a trusted GPS location. Now, when you combine 2 or more of these, that creates multi-factor authentication, or MFA. For instance, requiring an employee to use a password, which is something they know, plus a fingerprint scanner, which is something they are, just to access a company's internal network.
Now, once a user is fully authenticated, we immediately need our next principle, accountability. This simply means holding users responsible for their exact actions within an information system. Because these systems maintain highly detailed records, this principle ensures that absolutely every single digital action leaves a footprint. Knowing that your activities are being traced strongly discourages malicious insider behavior, and it ensures the organization easily meets strict legal and regulatory requirements.
And this brilliantly illustrates how accountability is actually enforced through specific mechanisms. We use audit logs to strictly record system activities, rule-based access to precisely limit permissions, and SIM platforms to monitor absolutely everything in real time. Imagine a major financial institution. They use these exact mechanisms to trace every single online transaction. Because they have these tools, they can record the user ID, the exact date and time, the originating IP address, and the specific action that was performed. There is literally nowhere for a bad actor to hide.
Our final extended principle here is non-repudiation. This is all about preventing individuals from denying their participation in a digital transaction or communication. It's not just about tracking what happened. It provides legally defensible evidence that a specific action actually occurred. This concept is the absolute backbone of all modern e-commerce, online banking, and electronic contracts.
To achieve non-repudiation, organizations rely on some very specific technologies. Digital signatures prove identity and ensure document integrity. Public Key Infrastructure, or PKI, supports those highly secure electronic signatures. And timestamping records the exact, undeniable moment an action happens. For example, if a purchasing manager digitally signs an electronic purchase order using a PKI-issued certificate, that specific signature acts as verifiable, ironclad proof. That manager cannot come back later and deny giving that approval. The evidence is both mathematically and legally sound.
Section 3. Securing critical infrastructure, the interlocking ecosystem in aviation.
All right, here is where we put this all together into what is basically a boss-level ecosystem. These 6 principles we've covered must interlock perfectly to prevent catastrophic physical safety consequences in highly critical sectors like aviation. Let's map the classic CIA triad directly onto the aviation sector to really see this in action. Confidentiality protects passenger information and private flight manifests. Integrity ensures that aircraft maintenance records and critical navigation data remain entirely unaltered. Availability maintains the continuous, uninterrupted operation of air traffic communication. Notice how deeply they rely on each other. If you have availability, meaning your systems are up and running, but you suddenly lose confidentiality, well, your passenger data gets stolen by hackers even while those planes are actively flying. You absolutely need all 3.
And finally, we complete this aviation map with the extended principles. Authenticity strictly verifies the exact identities of pilots and air traffic controllers before they can ever interact with the system. Accountability meticulously records all maintenance activities to support rigorous safety audits. And non-repudiation uses those digital signatures for electronic flight logs and vital operational authorizations. Working together, this full six-pillar framework maintains strict regulatory compliance and guarantees absolute public safety in the skies.
Which brings us to our final thought. As we've clearly seen today, these 6 interlocking pillars are what protect the world's most critical infrastructure, from global banking all the way to the airplanes flying right above our heads. So I want to leave you with this question. Looking at your own organization, or even your personal digital life, which of your own digital pillars is the most vulnerable today? Is it your confidentiality? Maybe your availability? Take a moment to really think about your own information assurance. Thank you so much for joining me to decode these core principles of digital trust. Keep learning, keep your data secure, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.